The Kahn Makyr is presented as an explicitly evil character, being the second to last boss of Doom Eternal and even being willing to work with the forces of hell for her own gain. But I don't think anyone's ever taken the time to step back and make a case for why she's nowhere near as evil as presented. Let's start by looking at her actions in relation to the Slayer. Obviously, she doesn't like the Slayer, but until he destroys Urdak, she never directly tries to kill him. During the first level, Hell on Earth, she does try to dissuade him, albeit cockily. She then tries to bribe him on Sentinel Prime, offering him back what the demons took from him, which I assume means Daisy, any family he may have had, and his position amongst the Night Sentinels. Beyond this, although she definitely has access to the systems of the Fortress of Doom, she never does anything to harm him there besides attempting to trap him, even though she could have easily sent him and his station careening into the sun, or set his portal to literally go to God knows where at any given point. It's also worth mentioning that she fought the Slayer honourably in Urdak instead of running away and fighting him on Earth, where she's effectively immortal and can act as long-range support for the Icon of Sin. Hell, she only brought out the Icon of Sin when the Slayer had ruined her first, much less destructive plan, as the Icon leaves very few to no survivors, whereas the priests would have left some. Atop this, she planned to control the Icon of Sin, maybe in an attempt to save some survivors or otherwise stop it from doing too much damage that was unnecessary for the invasion of Earth, a plan that was then thwarted by the Slayer. But actions are pretty meaningless without motives, so what are her actual motives? Well, the obvious one is survival. The Kahn Makyr is supposed to be replaced every 10,000 years, and I'm willing to bet she only resorted to Argent Energy because her time was nearly up and she was desperate to survive. This motive gets far stronger after the Battle of Taras Nabad, as she has no way of actually being replaced, thanks in no small part to the disappearance of the entity known as the Father. As for her actions between the beginning of the demonic invasion and those after the Battle of Taras Nabad, I wouldn't find it unbelievable that she could have been influenced by the demonic energy, especially after it was sent to her in its pure form. The other thing worth noting is that she's never shown as doing anything explicitly evil. It's always the Night Sentinels aligned with her under the rule of the Hell Priest that do horrific things, such as using the arena for blood sport. Although it would certainly be better if she put a stop to the atrocities they are committing, she never directly encourages the evils they commit outside of the ones necessary for the survival of the Maker race, such as invading Earth. She even honours Sentinel tradition and allows the Slayer, a warrior she directly opposes, to retain his sovereignty in Sentinel Prime when it's under her rule. Admittedly, she isn't morally perfect in any way whatsoever, but if she does truly believe her own words, she does actually believe that the sacrifices given to her by other species actually redeem them, which, in an odd way, has a weird kind of honour to it from the perspective of being the one to bear all the sins of all the different species. We also have to note that she directly references the sacrifices as a tradition, which means that she may have never known anything else. Assuming that everything she says is true, at least regarding Urdak, the Slayer may have done some serious damage to the universe as a whole by killing her if Vega isn't the father. On the other hand, even if Vega is the father, she never could have known that he had returned and that she would be getting replaced upon death. It's also worth noting that most of the information we have about her and her practices is filtered through Samuel Hayden, a character who is in a very similar position to her at the end of Doom 2016. Samuel, just like the Kahn Makyr, claimed to be doing what's best for their species and trying to help those in need, but was still portrayed as the bad guy at the end of Doom 2016, in almost the same way the Kahn Makyr was, except he didn't get slayed. On the topic of filtered information, we also get some serious hints that Samuel Hayden is Samra Maker, aka the Seraphim. I'd be willing to bet that the Seraphim is next in line to take the Kahn Maker's place, as he'd be the one most knowledgeable about Urdak, Maker tradition and society. Not to mention the fact that he was the advisor to the Kahn Maker before making his escape. If this is the case, then it gives Samuel not one, but two motives to lie to the Slayer. Not to mention his history of being willing to use the Slayer as a tool, and effectively deceive him to get his way. I'm not saying that Samuel Haymaker is evil either. In fact, if he does take over Urdak or has caused the creation of a new Kahn Maker, it is very possible that it will be a very good thing, not only for the Makers but for all the factions they're associated with, as they get a fresh start and can rebuild. This whole thing could easily be a misunderstanding based on a couple of bad decisions and the need for survival, especially since the Kahn Makyr was due to die long before she actually did. I know this is a bit of a weird, oddballish theory, but I thought some people might enjoy it, so I decided to make it. Thank you all for watching. It has been a great ride so far, and I hope it continues to get greater. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I have been your host, Vert343, and I am signing off. Peace out, gentlemen.